Hello, class. So today we're going to talk more about the body and when we are sick. Ow. My head hurts. My head hurts. What's wrong? Her head hurts. Her head hurts. What's wrong? His head hurts. His head hurts. Another way to say that is, I have a headache. I have a headache. So that's the same. My head hurts, or I have a headache. I have a headache. So we have I have. Have, you can spell it with me. Have, H-A-V-E. I have. I have a headache. So I say which means one. Headache. So that's head and ache. Head, you can spell head, H-E-A-D. Head. And then ache. Can you spell ache? This is a crazy, crazy word. Ache is A-C-H-E. Crazy English. E. Ache. It's crazy. It's crazy English. Many people think head H. This should sound like H, because there's a CH. Ch. No, it sounds like K. Head ache. So this is ache. Head ache. We say it together though. We say it like this. Headache. So these are all together. Headache. Headache. Repeat. Headache. 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 A headache. I have a headache. And then I put a period at the end, because this is one sentence. I have a headache. I have a headache. What if I am talking about this person? I have a headache? No. I talk about this person. She. So I say she. She have a headache, right? No. She has. So remember, for she, he, and it's different. And this verb have changes to has. She has. H-A-S. She has a headache. She has a headache. I have a headache. She has a headache. Or he has a headache. He. He. He has a headache. He has a headache. I have a headache. She has a headache. He has a headache. I can also use a name. I can say, Joy has a headache. That's me. Joy has a headache. Joy has a headache. Or Rahim has a headache. Rahim has a headache. So I can use names. I have a headache. She has a headache. He has a headache. Joy has a headache. Rahim has a headache. Or I can talk about my family. For example, my daughter has a headache. My daughter. My daughter has. My daughter has a headache. My mother has a headache. My husband has a headache. My son has a headache. So we can talk about family. We can use names. We can also say he or she or I. So let's practice. So here is some vocabulary. So first we have a headache. A headache. She has a headache. She has a headache. A backache. A backache. He has a backache. This is a lot like headache, where there's head and then ache. This one, back and then ache. But we say it together. So this is cake. So the last part sounds like cake, like a cake that I eat. Chocolate cake. This is not chocolate cake, this is a backache. A backache. Backache. A headache. A headache. A backache. A backache. He has a backache. What is this? A stomachache. Stomachache. So again, we say this together. This is stomach cake. So this last part sounds like cake. Stomach cake. A stomach ache. He has a stomach ache. A toothache. A toothache. A toothache. Again, we say it together. So this is fake. So that last part is fake. Toothache. A toothache. A toothache. He has a toothache. What is this? An earache. An earache. She has an earache. So again, we say it together. So this is e-rake. 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 And this one is an, not a. An. Why? Why? It is because the first letter is E. The first letter is E, so we use an. An earache. We say it all together. An earache. An earache. She has an earache. A cold. A cold. She has a cold. So this is when my nose is, I have to blow my nose. And maybe I am sneezing, achoo, achoo, achoo. Or maybe I am coughing. A cold. She has a cold. A runny nose. This is something you have when you have a cold. You usually have a runny nose. So that means there is boogers or snot coming out of your nose. And we call that a runny nose. So here's nose, and this is a runny nose. He has a runny nose. A runny nose. What is this crazy word? I have a cough. He has a cough. A cough. So this is a crazy word because it's C-O-U-G-H. Crazy. It sounds like F, cough. So it sounds like coffee. I drink coffee. I have coffee or cough. So it's the same sound, similar sound as coffee. This is cough, cough, a cough. He has a cough. He has a cough. A cough is something people have when they have corona. virus. So if you have a cough, be very careful. Maybe not coronavirus, but maybe coronavirus. So be careful. When you cough, you want to put your arm over your face, cover your nose and cover your mouth, and and then you don't get other people sick. So if you have a cough, stay home. Maybe you can't stay home. Maybe wear a mask over your face. You can take even a scarf or a shirt, put it over your face. If you don't have a mask and you cough, put your arm over your nose and mouth and cough. So this is a cough. He has a cough. A fever. A fever. He has a fever. What is a fever? So a fever is when my body is very, very hot. When you go to the doctor, sometimes they take your temperature. They use a thermometer. This is a thermometer, or we say thermometer. Thermometer. You can get one at Kroger or Food Lion or CVS or Walgreens. You can buy one, keep it in your house, and you put it in your mouth and push the button, and it takes your temperature. And if you have a temperature of 100, 101, 102, you have a fever. You are hot. You have a fever. If your temperature is 98, 97, it's okay. You are okay. Above 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, you have a fever. And that's a fever. He has a fever. People with coronavirus have a fever. So maybe you have a fever and you have a cough. Maybe go to the doctor. Maybe. Or stay home and rest. Drink a lot of water. Eat fruits and vegetables. Drink orange juice. Drink tea. Hot drinks are good. So this is a fever. This is a sore throat. So this here, this is my neck on the outside. Inside, throat. Inside, it's my throat. Sometimes you go to the doctor says, open your mouth, say ah, and he is looking inside in your throat. So inside, if my throat hurts inside, and maybe it hurts to eat, or I can't talk, it's a sore throat. When inside hurts, inside my throat hurts, it's a sore throat. So that's with TH. I have to stick out my tongue. Throat. Many people have trouble saying that word. It's very hard. So we'll practice. Throat. 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 Sore throat. Sore throat. A sore throat. A sore throat. She has a sore throat. She has a sore throat. And this is a thermometer. A thermometer. So let's review. A headache, a backache, a stomachache, a toothache, an earache, a cold, a runny nose, a cough, a fever, a sore throat, a thermometer, a thermometer. These three a cough, a fever, a sore throat, you can have it if you have coronavirus. So if you have these three things, stay home, drink hot tea, drink orange juice, rest, drink a lot of water, and if you have these, and then maybe you can't breathe, then maybe go to the doctor or go to the hospital. If you can't breathe, then that's a problem. You have to go to the hospital. That's very scary. I hope nobody has coronavirus. But these are some things that you have if maybe you have coronavirus, and make sure you rest, drink hot drinks, tea is the best, hot soup, and rest. Okay, so we're going to practice these. Here is a conversation we're going to practice. What's the matter? I have a headache. I'm sorry to hear that. So A, what's the matter? This is the same as what's wrong? What's wrong? So many people say, what's wrong? Many people say, what's the matter? They are the same. This is what's the matter. The correct pronunciation here is matter, because we have T, matter. What's the matter? But in the United States, we say matter, matter. What's the matter? Repeat. What's the matter? What's the matter? I have a headache. I'm sorry. So this is the same as I'm sorry. Or people say, I'm sorry to hear that. Hear is what I do with my ears. Maybe you are talking, I hear you. Or my friend is playing music, I can hear my friend. I hear people talking. I hear my mother on the telephone. So that's what I do with my ears. It's like listen. It's very similar. Hear. So I hear you talking. I hear you when you say, I have a headache. So I hear that. I hear that. Hear that. I hear that. That you have a headache. And I am sorry. So I am sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that. Repeat. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that. What's the matter? I have a headache. I'm sorry to hear that. So we're going to practice this. And we're going to use the pictures. So for example, what is this? A stomach ache. So we're going to practice this conversation with the pictures. For example, what's the matter? So I see this. Okay, stomach ache. I have a stomach ache. I'm sorry to hear that. What's the matter? I have a backache. I'm sorry to hear that. What's the matter? I have a headache. I'm sorry to hear that. What's the matter? I have a sore throat. I'm sorry to hear that. What's the matter? I have a fever. I'm sorry to hear that. What's the matter? I have a cough. I'm sorry to hear that. What's the matter? I have a runny nose. I'm sorry to hear that. What's the matter? I have a toothache. I'm sorry to hear that. What's the matter? I have a cold. I'm sorry to hear that. What's the matter? I have an earache. I'm sorry to hear that. So that's when we practice I, when I talk about me. I have a headache. And then I can practice with other people. So for example, I can use he or she. So I can replace I have with he or she. He, what goes here? Has. He has a headache. So we can practice with that too. So for example, what's the matter? He has a cough. I'm sorry to hear that. What's the matter? She has a headache. I'm sorry to hear that. What's the matter? He has a toothache. I'm sorry to hear that. What's the matter? He has a runny nose. I'm sorry to hear that. What's the matter? She has a cold. I'm sorry to hear that. What's the matter? She has an earache. I'm sorry to hear that. What's the matter? She has a sore throat. I'm sorry to hear that. What's the matter? He has a fever. I'm sorry to hear that. What's the matter? He has a backache. I'm sorry to hear that. What's the matter? He has a stomachache. I'm sorry to hear that. So we can also practice with names or with family. So if you have children, little children, they get sick. Sometimes they are sick, and it's good to practice. For example, we can practice with different words. So instead of he or she, I can say, my son. My son, for example. My son has a headache. So we can use family. My son, my daughter, my mother, my father, my husband, my wife, my brother, my sister. All these examples we can practice with. So, for example, what's the matter? He has a toothache. I can use a different word. My son has a toothache. My son has a toothache. What's the matter? My daughter has a sore throat. I'm sorry to hear that. What's the matter? So think of your example. My brother has a fever. I'm sorry to hear that. What's the matter? My father has a stomach ache. I'm sorry to hear that. What's the matter? My sister has a cold. I'm sorry to hear that. What's the matter? My mother has a headache. I'm sorry to hear that. Okay, so you can practice this in your house. On Wednesday, we are going to practice in the book. So if you have a book, you can look at pages 208 and 209. So these two pages in the book, 208 and 209, we will practice on Wednesday. If you don't have a book, no problem. I will show you the book on Wednesday. And it has the same words: toothache, headache, stomach ache, and we will practice a conversation. So have a great day, stay healthy, and I will see you on Wednesday.